and your host of Legal Tips Live. I'm here today with Megan, who is our lead attorney in the Seattle office. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and what's your specialties?
Yeah, sure. I'm the lead attorney with Lavender Rights Seattle office, and I mainly practice family law, Social Security, disability, and estate planning. So those are my
Awesome.
areas of expertise.
Awesome. So today we're talking, it's my understanding we're talking about common questions about disability and sort of top level, most general, what people are eligible for in the US. So our first question though is, are you the lawyer for everyone watching right now? And is this legal advice?
No, it is not legal advice. I am not anyone who's watching. I'm not your lawyer. But I am offering general legal information. It's always really important to talk to a lawyer about your own specific case, but that is not what this is.
Good to know.
Mhm.
So first, can you talk about the differences between SSI and SSDI?
Sure. SSDI and SSI are both federal government programs through Social Security. Um, They function similarly, but the eligibility for each of them differs. So SSI it stands for Supplemental Security Income, and it is very similar to what we think of when we think of a welfare benefit. It's generally received by people who don't have other sources of income, and pretty much everyone who has a Social Security number is eligible to apply and receive SSI. Um, SSDI is a federal benefit that it's SSDI stands for Social Security Disability Insurance. So it actually functions very similar to an insurance program. Generally you have to work a certain amount in order to pay credits into the Social Security income program, and those credits translate to your eligibility for SSDI. SSDI is generally a higher benefit than SSI, and you can receive both at once, but generally the cap is going to be whatever the SSI income is. So you can get, part SSDI, and then the rest could get made up by SSI.
So it sounds like SSDI is a little harder to qualify for, whereas SSI, everyone qualifies, but the amount varies based on income level.
Yes, exactly. The SSI can be adjusted. It is something that they look at your household income. So if you were to get married, that would affect SSI and what you're eligible for. Whereas SSDI, they don't care if you're married. They don't care. If you won the lottery, you could still be eligible for SSDI because it's technically a benefit you paid into, and you're eligible to receive that benefit if you become disabled before you are eligible for retirement.
Got it. So what is the difference between short-term disability benefits and Social Security disability?
The difference between those two benefits are Social Security is a federal program. To qualify for that program, you have to have a disability that lasts for a year or more, or is expected to last for a year or more. So it's more of a long-term program, and that it goes for both SSI and SSDI. It's not meant to cover you during a short term, something like having complications after having a baby. That would not be something that you could get SSI or SSDI for generally. Whereas short term disability or long term disability, which is what most people know their private benefits to be. So it's very similar to the private health insurance market. It's an insurance program that you have to contract with a private entity with, and that is what determines your eligibility, are the terms of that contract.
And it sounds like you said short-term disability is more relevant, for example, if you were to have an injury, whereas the federal benefits kick in usually for elders or later on in life.
Generally, so if you have essentially a permanent disability or a long-lasting disability, that's when Social Security would come in and basically pick up the slack. And if you don't have a private insurance program, like a short-term disability program through an employer or a private insurance benefit that you've paid for independently, generally you wouldn't be eligible for those benefits unless your injury was lasted a year or more. You could be eligible during that first year, but generally you don't get paid that first year because there is a process to apply.
Got it. All right, moving on to the next question. And if folks have questions in between these, at any time, feel free to ask them in the live chat. I think we both have access to that. All right, the next question is, what is the typical process for applying for these benefits?
So the application process is the same for SSI and SSDI. You generally find out when you go to Social Security, the local office, if you're eligible for both programs. You can have a concurrent application. So they are different applications, but you can apply for them on the same day using all the same information. And generally, you put in your first application and get a decision back. For that, usually it's 6 months to a year. It really depends on the local office and their backlog, how many other applicants they might have. Sometimes people get approved, if it's clear cut, they get approved in as little as a month or two. So it really just depends on how quickly the government acts.
Got it. And can someone work if they're approved for these benefits?
Yes, you actually can work. Generally, there's a limit. I would say no more than part-time, so 20 hours or less a week. Typically, the government, they look at your there's actually a dollar amount. If you earn more than that, then they start getting suspicious. But generally, you are able to do some work. Most people can't consistently do it. So they do have programs like they have a return to work program that allows an individual who's been approved for disability to make attempts to go back to work to see if they have improved to the point where they'd be able to hold down a full-time job without losing their benefit.
Got it. And then looks like our last question is, can you talk about these benefits in the context of COVID? So are there any difference in processes, any changes that you know about?
My understanding is that COVID has obviously slowed things down significantly. I believe that there are a lot of jobs within the Social Security program that are able to be done from home through telework. So I know that a lot of people who work for Social Security are still working, but things that require in-person contact, I'm not sure how the local offices are handling it, but they may be restricting how many people can come in. They may only be accepting phone calls, which can take a long time to get through. And then they do have online processes for applying. But the biggest change that I've seen is a movement from in-person hearings and in-person activities to phone hearings.
That makes sense. Well, thank you so much, Megan, for joining us. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. For more info or to seek legal help on this issue, you can go to our website, and we're at Lavender Rights Project. And let's see. In response to COVID-19, just so y'all know, Giving Tuesday, which is normally held on the Tuesday following Thanksgiving, is hosting another opportunity to donate to nonprofits, which is called Giving Tuesday Now. And this, along with Give Big Washington, which is a similar giving opportunity, will happen this coming Tuesday and Wednesday. You can donate to LRP by visiting our website, lavenderrightsproject.org, and your donations ensure that low-income LGBTQ people can access affirming and affordable legal services. Thank you all so much. Check back here next week at 1 p.m. for our next guest.
Thank you.